You're watching TAG TV. You're watching TAG TV.
Hello viewers, I'm your host Uzma Jafri with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show with India, which has received an overwhelming international support and sympathy for the dastardly attack it suffered from Pak-backed terrorists in Pulwama district of Jammu and Kashmir. International community has not just released statements expressing its solidarity with the country, but has also taken up the task of diplomatically isolating Islamabad. We bring you a report.
India's ramped-up efforts of countering Pakistan's nefarious designs through diplomatic channels have yielded its first results as France, a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, has confirmed its stance of pushing Masood Azhar's name on UN Global Terror List. The proposal, which is going to be fourth of its kind, has provided a shot in the arm to the Indian diplomacy that has more than one occasion tried to get the man proscribed by UN. First three bids had faced Chinese stonewalling.
We are very much pushing into that direction, and it's been 2 years that we are trying to put Masood Azhar on the UN sanction list. So of course we are working a lot on this in New York, and we have to be working on this after the horrible attacks that took place a week ago. We are in full solidarity with India, and we do believe that Masood Azhar should be listed, and we are working on that very actively.
Earlier in 2017, France, backed by the United States and the United Kingdom, had moved a proposal in the UN Sanctions Committee 1267 seeking to declare Azhar as a global terrorist. However, China blocked the proposal then. China also blocked India's repeated attempts to list Azhar in the UN Security Council. US President Donald Trump, in his first direct condemnation of the attack, called it a horrible situation. His national security advisor John Bolton has also supported India's right to self-defense. Trump has also confirmed of releasing an official statement once he has collected all the reports and information. Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who was on a state visit to India, has lent all his support to the country, saying his country was going to help India in all ways possible to combat terrorism.
التطرف والإرهاب وأمن المحيط الهندي. نؤكد للهند بأننا جاهزين للعمل سواء في المجال الاستخباراتي أو السياسي لتوافق جهود جميع دولنا وجميع الدول المحيطة بنا وجميع الدول المحيطة بالهند للتقارب ولعب دور أفضل لبناء مستقبل جيد ومستقبل مميز وأكثر أمانا للمساهمة بنهوض دولنا. أشكر دولة الرئيس على الحفاوة وعلى العمل الرائع وعلى الدور الإيجابي.
Meanwhile, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has appealed all countries to come together and work in an integrated manner in order to destroy the infrastructure related to terrorism. Without stating Pakistan's name, he said that there was also an urgent need to clamp down on the terror sympathizers.
हम इस बात पर सहमत हैं कि आतंकवाद को किसी भी प्रकार का समर्थन दे रहे देशों पर सभी संभव दबाव बढ़ाने की आवश्यकता है। आतंकवाद का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नष्ट करना और इसको समर्थन समाप्त करना और आतंकवादियों और उनके समर्थकों को सजा दिलाना बहुत ही जरूरी है।
Earlier in the week, after Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan dismissed Indian charges of terror being perpetrated from his country, India demanded Pakistan to stop misleading the international community. India also urged Islamabad to take credible and visible action against the perpetrators of Pulwama terrorist attack and other terrorists and terror groups operating from areas under their control.
India also presented a number of evidence at the Financial Action Task Force or FATF meeting in Paris that are bound to tighten the noose around the Pakistan. We are now joined by Rahul Jalali, a senior journalist, to speak further on the ongoing developments. Mr. Jalali, how do you see international response to the dastardly Pulwama attack, and do you think India has been successful so far in its diplomatic endeavors?
Well, I think what has happened is that the international community, the world of nations, has universally condemned this attack in Pulwama, and they've held Pakistan responsible for it. I think our diplomatic efforts have also paid dividend, as you can see, that every country, including China, had to condemn this attack, and China had to keep quiet when the question of imposing the putting Pakistan in the grey area as far as FATF is concerned was involved. Also on the question of Jaish-e-Mohammed declaring them as a terrorist organization, China did not create that kind of problems this time as it used to earlier. So obviously the international community is worried. The community as such has got together.
How do you analyze Imran Khan's speech? Don't you think he should have been more reasonable than being rhetorical?
I think he was trying to play to the gallery in this. He didn't mean a thing of what he said. Because if he's serious about combating terrorism which affects us, he should take action against Masood Azhar, who practically is sitting in his lap. Not only Masood Azhar, but other terrorist groups who operate from Pakistan. They have paid some sort of a lip sympathy by banning Jamaat-ud-Dawa, but that is meaningless, because you know what bans in Pakistan mean. While they ban it at one level, they allow these groups to operate without any hindrance.
What actions, according to you, can Financial Action Task Force take if India successfully provides incriminating evidence?
I think the Financial Action Task Force has to now move from putting Pakistan in the grey area and to blacklisting Pakistan. So sanctions are imposed on Pakistan and economically it is cut off. I think that is the next move which we have to take, where we've got to step up our campaign that the international community gets together and sanctions Pakistan, imposes heavy burdens, economic burdens on Pakistan. That's number one. Secondly, we need to isolate Pakistan and expose it for the kind of double talk it does at international levels, where it's trying to hoodwink the world when it comes to combating terrorism. That's the other factor we've got to step up pressure on. If we do these two things, we will have a fair amount of success.
Moving on. Pakistan has just not been slammed by the international community, but it has also drawn fierce criticism from those it has been meting out atrocities on for more than 7 decades. The Balochs and the Kashmiri people, who have been living under Pakistani subjugation, squarely condemned the attack planned on Pakistani soil. A report.
Today, Pakistan stands on the cusp of getting isolated as it has been exposed globally for exporting terror across South Asian countries, especially India and Afghanistan. The deteriorating situation has gone even south in the wake of the Pulwama attack, where Islamabad's active role has been exposed in the targeting of paramilitary personnel of India. Entire global fraternity has condemned the action and has asked Pakistan to expeditiously get rid of the terror camps it has been feeding and training for years. Activists and leaders hailing from the resource-rich province of Pakistan have also expressed their solidarity with India. Khalil Baloch, the chairman of the Baloch National Movement, while condemning the attack, underlined Pakistan's policy of Islamic extremism in furthering its vicious and violent agenda across the region.
पुलवामा में होने वाले दहशतगर्दी के वाक़े की मैं शदीद अल्फाज में मज़म्मत करता हूँ। ख़ित्ता व आलमी अमन के लिए असल मसला इस्लामी इंतहापसंदी व दहशतगर्दी को बतौर आला इस्तेमाल करने की पाकिस्तानी पॉलिसी है। पाकिस्तान दहशतगर्दी को बलूचिस्तान, अफ़गानिस्तान और भारत के ख़िलाफ़ इस्तेमाल कर रहा है। पाकिस्तान जैश मोहम्मद, लश्कर तैयबा जमायत-उद-दावा जैसे पाकिस्तानी दहशतगर्द तंजीमों के जरिए कश्मीर में दहशतगर्द कार्रवाइयां कर रही है।
Pakistan has been using similar tricks and techniques to achieve its satanic ambition in the Kashmir region it has occupied for years, and Balochistan, where it has been unrelenting in suppressing people. A Kashmiri author and activist, Shabir Chaudhry, too has accused Pakistan of indoctrinating youth in the name of religion in order to plan and perpetrate terror across the border.
अब जो कुछ पुलवामा में हुआ है उसके रद्द-ए-अमल के तौर पर जम्मू में हुआ है, तो यानी प्रोपेगेंडा स्टिक आ गई पाकिस्तान के हाथ में, या पाकिस्तान के जो फुट सोल्जर्स हैं उनके हाथ में ये आ गया कि देखें जी मुसलमानों को मारा गया उधर। तो जिसने वहाँ पर उनको पुलवामा में मारा वो कौन था? तो वो भी मुसलमान था ना। तो मैं ये किसी बात की मैं जस्टिफिकेशन नहीं प्रोवाइड कर रहा, मैं सिर्फ ये कह रहा हूँ कि एक्शन होगा तो उसका रिएक्शन भी होगा। और फिर अब इसके मुझे जो खतरा ये नज़र आ रहा है कि इस वाक़े की वजह से हो सकता है कि हिंदुस्तान में मुख्तलिफ जगहों पर फसादात शुरू हो जाएं, तो फिर वो मारा जाएगा जब मुसलमानों को तो कहा जाएगा देख लिया ना, मुसलमान और हिंदू एक साथ नहीं रह सकते।
Spreading terrorism, extremism and religious intolerance in Jammu and Kashmir, POK and Gilgit-Baltistan remain the agenda of Pakistan's intelligence agency, the ISI and army. It has been using gullible Kashmiri youth as cannon fodder to spread mayhem in other countries. Pulwama was a mere manifestation of its larger conspiracy to launch a multi-pronged attack on the sovereignty of the country. However, India's quick and colossal diplomatic exercise, compounded by massive condemnation, has forced Pakistan to work against the facilities being openly run by the terrorists. Reportedly, Falai Insaniyat Foundation and Jamaat-ud-Dawa are the first ones to receive the hammer.
Moving on to Afghanistan, where the ongoing US-led peace process suffered a halt after Kabul establishment protested to the United Nations Security Council that the Taliban leaders were violating the travel restrictions under international sanctions. After first round of successful talks in Qatar, the next meeting was slated to be held in Islamabad, where Taliban leaders were to meet Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan. A report.
The accelerating peace talks between the Taliban insurgents and various stakeholders vis-a-vis restoration of peace in Afghanistan suffered bottleneck as the scheduled meeting between the Taliban and the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan got cancelled after Kabul's protest. A letter submitted to the United Nations by the Kabul establishment expressing its concern, saying the official recognition and legitimization of an armed group that poses a serious threat to the security and stability of Afghanistan and whose members are sanctioned by provisions of the UN Security Council. Experts across the forum who were eagerly waiting for the further developments in peace are disappointed with the halt. Experts who are slightly inclined towards the negative side of the spectrum had, however, expressed their apprehensions on the manner in which the talks were moving.
Whatever deal is reached between the US and the Taliban, ultimately Afghan government, Afghan political groups, they have to come up with some kind of solution that can sustain or ensure peace returning to Afghanistan.
Earlier, two discussions were held in Doha and Moscow, though entirely separate. Both excluded the government in Kabul. President Ashraf Ghani, on being sidelined from the key negotiations for peace in his country, had tried all measures to bring Taliban to the table. Reports said both sides reached a consensus in the Doha talks. Foreign troops will withdraw from Afghanistan in 18 months after a peace agreement is signed, and the Taliban will ensure Afghanistan will not be used by Al-Qaeda and extremist groups to launch attacks against the US and its allies. A journalist had expressed his apprehensions over the talks and said the Kabul government was essential to any kind of talks to restore peace in the country.
Taliban says that they are actually, they don't have the legitimate government, they are the US puppets. So first they will have to have some kind of deal and agreement with the US, and then they can negotiate with the Afghan government and all other groups for broader dialogue.
Meanwhile, Afghan Foreign Minister slammed Pakistan ambassador for making insensitive remarks in the aftermath of Pulwama attacks, in which it said that any aggression from Indian side would affect the peace talks. The Afghan Foreign Ministry said it deemed his comments to be in contradiction with Pakistan's commitments with regards to realizing peace in Afghanistan. The Afghan statement said the government once again calls on Pakistan to act upon its commitments with regards to Afghanistan, particularly those in relation to peace, and refrain from making irrelevant statements that do not help solve any problem. Afghanistan has repeatedly accused Pakistan of sheltering and nurturing terrorists responsible for death of thousands of Afghan security personnel and civilians. Pakistan, according to Kabul, has also been providing moral and material support to Taliban in order to unleash violence in the war-torn country.
Moving on to Bangladesh, where scores lost their lives after a massive fire broke out in the capital Dhaka. The blaze that started with a 4-story building engulfed nearby buildings too in the Chowk Bazaar area of Old Dhaka. Although authorities said that the cause of the fire was under investigation, lax regulations and poor enforcement of rules in impoverished Bangladesh have often been blamed for several large fires that have led to hundreds of deaths in recent years. A report.
A massive blaze ripped through several multi-story buildings housing chemical and plastic warehouses, killing at least 70, with death toll expected to rise in coming hours as people were being treated with critical burn injuries. City's worst fire since 2012 broke out late on February 20th in a 4th-story building before spreading to others nearby in the Chowk Bazaar precinct. The 4-story building where the fire started was at the risk of collapsing due to damage. The first floor of the building was being used as a warehouse of plastic goods, cosmetics and perfume. Some families lived on the upper floors, according to residents. The ground floor of the building where the fire originated had several shops. Around 200 firefighters fought for more than 5 hours to contain the fire that later swept through the decades-old Mughal period neighborhood in Old Dhaka.
এই পর্যন্ত আমরা এখানে 12টা বডি ব্যাগ নিয়ে এসেছি, 12টা লাশ হিসাবে। ওখানে আরও কতগুলো বডি আছে বা ভিকটিম আছে এখনও আমরা বলতে পারছি না, কারণ পুরো বিল্ডিংকে সার্চ করলেই আমরা শুধুমাত্র বলতে পারবো যে কতগুলো ভিকটিম ওখানে ছিল।
Hundreds of distraught relatives rushed to the hospital to search for missing relatives, with several unidentified people grieving and crying outside the hospital after receiving information from the authorities. Body bags filled with badly charred remains were seen in the hospital.
উনি ওনার মানে যেখানে উনি পাট্টামে সময় দিতেন ওইখানে বসে আছিলেন। যা আগুন লাগছে উনি শাটার বন্ধ করে দিয়েছিলেন। পরবর্তীতে ওই দোকানে আগুন ঢুকছে, সরে গেছে একটু।
যাওয়ার পথের মধ্যে দুর্ঘটনা এই রাস্তায়, ওখানে দোকান ছিল না, পথের মধ্যে যাইতেছিল, পথচারী। ওনার নাম আছে জসিমউদ্দিন, বাড়ি হয়েছে স্যার এলহাইচার, কোম্পানিগঞ্জ। উনি আমার ফুফাতো ভাই।
Official statements say that the situation was continuously being monitored by Prime Minister herself. The Home Ministry of the country has set up a 5-member panel to inquire into the fire. The lack of safety regulations in the country was highlighted in 2013 when over 1,100 people died and thousands more were injured when a building housing garment factory in Dhaka collapsed.
Moving on to India, where a seed sowing festival was recently celebrated with great enthusiasm by the Naga tribes of Manipur. Popularly known Lui Naini, the festival marks the start of the year for Nagas and is a special occasion to honor and appease the gods of crop and to pray for the well-being of the people. Nagas communities in other parts of the country too observe this festival with immense fervor, enabling the younger generation to know their roots and promote the rich Naga culture.
Among the various festivals celebrated in Manipur, Lu Ngai Ni, or the Seed Sowing Festival, is one of the biggest festivals of Naga tribes of Manipur. This year, the festival was celebrated at the mini stadium in Senapati district. The function was organized under the aegis of United Naga Council, which was hosted by Naga People's Organization under the theme Understanding True Culture. The word Lu Ngai Ni is taken from 3 different Naga languages. Lui comes from Luiral Panit, a Tangkhul word for seed sowing festival. Ngai means festival in Rongmai language, and Ni is a Mau word for the seed sowing festival. Gracing the festival, Printing and Stationery Minister Losi Dikho urged the people of Manipur to plant more trees and stressed on the need to create a green environment.
Today, we are so concerned about our environment, and it is the responsibility of every Naga to take care of their environment. Every Naga from now onwards, as we go for seed sowing, we must plant trees.
This year too, the festival was a big cultural exchange among various ethnic communities of the states. They performed lighting of the sacred fire in traditional form, followed by cultural dance and songs. Bamboo pole climbing, one of the most physically challenging games of Nagas, was also played during the occasion. The main highlights of the program were traditional log drum beating and the traditional fire making.
Lu Ngai Ni is a collective seed sowing festival celebrated by the 20 tribes of Manipur. The celebration of Lu Ngai Ni began in 1987 and heralds the season of seed sowing festival and mark the start of the year of the Nagas.
The Tangkhul Naga community in Chennai also observed this seed sowing festival under the theme Know Thy Roots. More than 800 people attended the festival organized at CSI St. Thomas Higher Secondary School in Chennai. It was graced by Leshio Kaishing, MLA of Phungyar constituency, Manipur.
Many of the people from Manipur, they have migrated from Manipur to big cities like Delhi, Calcutta, Mumbai and Chennai. And today here, big numbers of people from Manipur are gathered here to celebrate the seed sowing festival. This Luira means seed sowing festival. It is our cultural and traditional festival.
Traditional recreations like wrestling, cockfighting, tug of war and bamboo pole climbing were performed during the festival. Other tribes of the region, Zaliangrong Students Union, Maram Student Union, Pumai Students Union also presented their beautiful melodious song which enthralled the audience. To add more flavors to the festival, pork eating competition was also held, where a person who eats the most wins the race.
We should not forget our past. We need to remember how our ancestors, how our forefathers have gone in their life. Like this is the celebration of like seed sowing festival.
Lu Ngai Ni celebrations over the years have evolved to adding in dashes of modernization and are now also an occasion for youths to connect with their roots. It brings in a message of peace, serenity and peaceful coexistence not only for the Nagas but also for the people of the region.
India celebrates a number of such festivals every year that not just present the rich culture and heritage of the country, but also promote peace and happiness. With that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.